Adam Booth, before we let you go, wanted to ask about some of the great fighters you've trained in the past, including David Haye, George Groves, Andy Lee, who's obviously now retired. Also worked briefly with the likes of Billy Joe Saunders, Charlie Edwards, took him to a British title in the time you had together. Just want to ask you about those guys as a collection. First of all, who would you say was the most naturally talented you've worked with out of everyone you've trained?
Out of the fighters that you just mentioned?
No, all of them, because I won't have named everyone you've ever worked with.
The most naturally talented fighter I've worked with is Josh Kelly. The most genetically gifted individual is David Haye.
Just explain for the uninitiated what the difference between those two qualities is.
Okay, so being genetically gifted is the fast twitch fibers, the natural explosion and power of punch that David Haye had. If David Haye had chosen to be a sprinter, he would have been an international sprinter. If he had chosen to be anything else other than a fighter, where his physical prowess was the determining factor, he would have succeeded in it. He would have excelled in it.
So Haye's the best athlete, Kelly's the best boxer. Is that fair?
So, okay, being a talented fighter. This is something that we could talk about for a long time, because what is talent? What is it? No one's born with the ability to slip and counter, right? So Josh's understanding and what his subconscious reads very quickly and how to adapt to it is very, very advanced for his age and how many pro fights he's had. He can box. His punch power is going to improve, but he can box, he can punch, he can fight on the inside. He can go southpaw, he can press, he can push forward, he can step back, and he can do everything as competently as anyone at his level at the moment. And so it's his collection of attributes that makes him the most complete fighter, and with understanding, that I've trained up to date, where I haven't had to say, right, in this situation, this is what you need to do and let's drill it. With Josh, it's kind of like, okay, this is where you're at, what you're going to do. And he has an answer for it.
Let's speed it up a bit, a little bit of quick fire. Out of all the fighters you've ever worked with, these questions, who's the hardest trainer?
Ooh, wow. Hardest in terms of what?
Works the hardest, best work ethic.
Ryan Burnett, we call it the hospital button. Ryan Burnett has to be stopped pressing the hospital button, because he will take himself to collapse every time if he was allowed to.
Who's the worst dressed?
Me.
I took one for the team there. Who's got the best banter?
Ooh. Michael, Josh. Quick fire question. Who's got the best banter?
If you didn't hear that, that was Mick Conlan saying, I think it's Josh because he's stupid. That was my best Mick Conlan impression. Don't hate me, Irish people. I'm really sorry. Adam Booth's busy redefining what quick fire means with his answers to these questions. Who's been the most difficult to manage in terms of getting them in the gym, keeping them in the gym, and making sure they're always working hard?
David Haye.
And why is that? I'm ruining my own game here, but why is that?
Because he just had a knack. He'd like to live like a cat. Wake up in the morning and do whatever he chooses to do, which is the complete antithesis to being a fighter and doing what you have to do, not what you want to do. And so because of that, it was David, because I had to come up with 101 different ways of saying, go and do a 45-minute run.
Hardest puncher?
David Haye.
Fastest?
Ooh.
Hand speed?
Ryan Burnett.
Foot speed and general footwork?
Foot speed? Ryan Burnett. Balance? Josh Kelly.
Best boxing brain?
Oh, that's a difficult one, because their boxing brains relate to themselves. If I can't contradict my previous answer, Josh has got an understanding of so many different scenarios. So I would have to say his brain at this stage, in terms of understanding what to do and having the ability to do it in different positions, Josh Kelly.
Which of your fighter's previous opponents have you felt the most personal animosity towards?
Have I fought animosity towards anyone? James DeGale.
Yeah, I can see why, perhaps. And last one, and this is going to be the toughest one for you so far, I think. Out of every fighter you've worked with, past, present, who have you felt the closest to on a personal level? You kind of grew up with Haye, but then Burnett stayed at your house, Lee stayed at your house.
Yeah, I really can't. I can't answer that question. I can't, because I could on any given day I could give you a different name. So there is no answer to that question.
Right, well, I lied about that being the final question because it was a terrible answer. So real final question: what 3 things would your fighters use to describe you? What would they say about you?
What you're going to do is you're going to ask them this same damn question.
This isn't Mr. and Mrs., but I might. Now you've suggested it. You know, I hadn't thought of it.
How do I answer this question without
Sounding arrogant.
sounding smug? Yeah, you're fucking setting me up. That's what you're doing. You're setting me up.
I am. Now answer the question.
No.
All right. Well, right, now he's come up with another wild card final question. If you could train any fighter in the world today that you don't currently work with, who would it be?
Active today.
Can I just say what a great off-the-cuff spontaneous question.
Gervonta Davis.
Why?
He's a weapon.
In more ways than one, I think most people would say. But why specifically Davis?
I think he could be a complete fighter. I think and look how young he is at the moment. I just think he is one of my favourite fighters to watch because of the way he goes about his job, his balance, just what he does. And I actually think that I just like him. I like him a lot as a fighter.
Brilliant. Well, Adam Booth, we thank you for your time. I know you've got to rush off. Your daughter's got hockey trials this afternoon, I believe, so we wish her the best of luck with those. And don't be a hockey dad and try and get involved. Leave it to the coaches. Thank you very much.